Hello, thank you for stopping by again, or for simply stopping by. My first video that I posted about what is mindfulness broke down the two ideas around equanimity and concentration. And I wanted to take the next step to say, why is even mindfulness important? A lot of people have ideas around mindfulness bringing inner peace, comfort, ease for this personal experience. But from my perspective, what I understand mindfulness, the purpose of mindfulness is to stop the killing that happens between human beings, either the killing of oneself or the killing of another. And that happens when we aren't mindful. And it is in our nature to destroy ourselves. And if you possibly hear that and are saying, no, that's not true, it's not in our nature to destroy ourselves, I'd invite you to just explore that in relationship to the thoughts that you might be thinking about yourself with comparison and how perceived throughout history societies and people enter into war. Okay, so but I want to give you hope, because as humans there's this capacity to go against this nature, which stems from projective identification, which I'm planning on creating another video about. So I want to stay focused on this idea of mindfulness and preventing the fractures in relationships that lead to othering and creating enemies, that once you create an enemy, you are dehumanizing another person, so you can either dismiss them, not engage with them, or kill them. And that can also happen internally too. And that all comes from the rage humiliation cycle that exists as a human being on this planet in this lifetime. So, where am I going with this? So, connected to the idea of there are three skills, the skills of real dialogue that I learned through one of my teachers, Dr. Polly Young-Eisendrath. Allow this humanization to happen when there's conflict. And it requires a radical responsibility of self to not contribute to that rage humiliation cycle based on the feelings that one may be experiencing in a situation when there is conflict. And conflict is something that cannot be avoided. But oftentimes people want to either engage for the sake of winning or simply avoid because they don't want to experience either the shame or the humiliation that can happen from being wrong. There's a great book called Being Wrong, by the way. Anyway, so going back to this idea of mindfulness, this sitting with concentration, along with not avoiding or running away from a discomfort, an uncomfortable feeling, is to stay engaged with the human experience and for the other person. So when this happens, it all also depends on your stage of development. So one of the things as an educator for over 26 years, this idea of stages of development just don't happen when you turn 18. They last through an entire lifetime up until an individual dies, and possibly even beyond, depending on your belief system. If you're really interested in stages of development, there's a wonderful podcast by Dr. Polly Young-Eisendrath, one of my teachers, and Michael Berger, a dear friend, a real dialogue specialist as well, and one of my business partners, in a podcast called Waking Up Is Not Enough, Flourishing in the Human Space. And there are that whole series is really engaging in this idea of stage theory and being able to be present and study your own individual subjectivity. Okay, back to mindfulness and the purpose. The purpose is to keep ourselves humanized, me as an individual. So if all of a sudden I'm starting to do a comparison of myself, oh, I don't have this enough, I wish I had this, but I don't have this, I'm this way and I'm comparing myself to the other person and I wish I was that way. And so when that comparison happens, I'm starting to other and dehumanize myself in that process, which is in our human nature to compare. But if we're not aware of that, I could, eventually feel so much shame and being upset that I don't believe that my existence is worthy. And the same might be true of trying to prove someone else wrong all the time. I'm right, so nobody else could be right, where that's just completely impossible, right? So I'm noticing my video is already 5 minutes, so I don't want to have this go on too long. But going back to real dialogue, I believe it's possible for every human being to learn the skills of real dialogue, which is a mindfulness practice to engage in during conflict that can keep people humanized and get to a point where new solutions and new ideas might emerge, as opposed to one person just pushing their will or idea as the right one to be. So on that end, I will stop for today and be ready for the next one, which is talking about the 3 skills of real dialogue. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and please send me any questions you have via my email, which is mindfuljourneywork.com, info@mindfuljourneywork.com, and check out my website as well. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.